This is the warranty replacement for the block hoodlum, which broke right here at the pot lifter notch when I was splitting some wood with it. Had it out yesterday. Decent enough blade shape. I mean, relatively straightforward, full flat grind, 1/4 inch thick stock. Blade's a bit narrow, so it's a bit chunkier than a wider blade, but Hood always liked more narrower blades. It's a weight thing, and it's more sort of a machete sort of Luco style rather than a sort of heavy Bowie chopper. Main issues that I had is that everything on the handle is squarish, really squarish. I mean, these edges are sharp enough to scrape your nail, and that's where your index finger goes. Even here, this is very sharp down at the bottom. So like, these are actually points, and when you do a partial grip, all of these points come into your hand, and this is a grip you're going to use to try to get a bit of power if you are using this for heavier wood. Now if you're just using this for lighter tasks, filleting a fish and something like that, none of these things are really going to bother you, because the forces that you're using when you're holding onto the knife are obviously very light then. But for actually cutting wood, taking down some deadfall, limbing out some trees, you are putting a bit of force into the knife, and you don't want all these sharp points. So I'm going to take some time now and round a lot of these out. Now I'm not going to fully round them. I'm just going to break the points on them to reduce the actual high pressure contacts. I don't mind a little bit of pressure. It helps with indexing. Make sure that you're not very sloppy when you're using it. And just to point out, one of the best examples of contouring, rounding in production knives is by Chris Reeves. If you ever get a chance to check out any of these knives, they all come like that, and you look at the spine and even parts of the handle around the guard, you'll see fully rounded off edges. And again, I'm not going to go that far here. I'm just going to break all the sharp surfaces again, so it's not uncomfortable or sort of, you know, really sharp in hand. So broke all the edges in the index finger choil on the blade, so these are all contoured now, no sharp points in here. Rounded this off right here, both the steel and the micarta. Now you can finish this up with finer sandpaper if you want to get rid of the scratches. I'm not really concerned about that. You don't need to leave it as rough as that, obviously. Broke the edges again right here on the end of the handle, and broke the edges here on the micarta. So now it's decently comfortable index finger in here. It's decently comfortable around the index finger. I can even grip right on top of it like this. It's not a high pressure point anymore. Can easily grip with a partial grip, even a 2-finger grip down around here, and there's no sharp points in here or in here to bite into my hand anywhere. The block hoodlum. I have the handle rounded out in a few areas, and I just want to do a light check now to make sure that it's okay before I go for a walk and do some more woodwork. I just want to point out one thing before I get to some actual cutting. This is relatively ridiculous. There's no retention in the insert at all. I mean, that's that. So last time I used it, again, there was a number of contact points, high pressure, they're all rounded out. And now I just want to do some light work with this, very light cutting. I mean, I'm only going to go up to probably about a piece of 1x3 at maximum, but I just want to make sure that I got everything working fine now and that the handle is decently comfortable. So start off using a very light snap with the index finger. So this is the kind of motion I'd use taking off really small limbs, precision work. Feels fine now. There's obviously some contact pressure here because I didn't round off the spine, but I'm a bit okay with that for now anyway. Shift back a bit for a little bit more power. Index finger, thumb again on ramp here. Works very well. This is nice and rounded off now. Of course the jimping is a bit sharp, but it's supposed to be. Go back now a step further, full grip on the handle, hammer style. Break this up as a little durability check. Perfectly fine again, that's nice and rounded now. Check it with a bit more power. Watch the nails. Calm down, buddy. Okay, now back off to a 3-finger grip around the end, just to check the contact points down here now. Power a bit through. Oh, that's a mess there. Not there, not there. Do a worst case scenario, I'll actually try to open up the notch here. It's not going anywhere. So no big issue. When you're cutting through a knot like that, it's very rare that you'll be able to notch it open. So start your notch and then cut out from each side and then go towards the center again. Now, sensible cut. Now, the only thing you see, it's difficult to get high precision when you're on the end of the handle here because you no longer have a full grip and the knife is actually moving in the swing. It's very difficult to control it. Whereas within a full grip, you got nice control, should be able to follow your lines, no excuse. Flailing at the end like this to get a bit more power, it's not as easy to follow the lines. Again, because the knife is moving and you don't want it to. Seems to be okay. Chop up some of this because it has some nice knots in it anyway. That's relatively horrible. Now of course, unless you're doing it just to check the knife, I mean cut through it there. Cut through it there. Cut through it there. Hey. Let's just see what happens with this nonsense. I'm going to switch to a more forward grip here anyway. Actually no, I think I'll keep it down at the end. The hardest case for cutting through the knots on the edge is going to be the grip on the end. You're putting more power into the cut but less control. In general, again, if you're not doing some kind of review evaluation test, I mean use it up around here if you do have to cut through the knots. Work a bit slowly, maximum control, but let's just see if the edge can withstand, again, sort of maximum power and minimal control. And let's do this sort of worst case scenario, which would be going right into it at the top. So again, you can see no ability to open the notch up. I mean, that's not going to release. So see, it's very difficult to make any progress. It's kind of funny. So you can see there's no way you're going to get any kind of chip release. You basically have to just cut straight through. Now the edge is going dull, but again, I'd expect that not because of the knots, but because of the way it was actually sharpened by Buck. The edge is shaped by relatively coarse grit. That's standard. All they did then was just hit it with a buffer, a couple of passes. If you look at this under magnification, you can see the very coarse scratch lines not only go to the edge, but the edge is actually wavy like this, because again, they didn't refine that. They just hit it with a buffer and knocked the burr off it. A couple of bad things about that: if you're grinding a steel like 5160, which has a relatively fine grain, no alloy carbide, and you're getting a burr that heavy, you're overheating the steel, and that's obviously the case here. Secondly, if you're just taking the really coarse edge like this and hitting it with a buffer, you're going to get all those dips and valleys from the coarse edge still left in there, and that combined with the overheating means the edge will collapse almost instantly, even on knots or regular wood. Okay, again, let's this is nice. One there, one there, one there. Okay, let's see what we can do to this member jammer. We'll go right in the middle of all of them. Again, go back. So you can see on the clear wood is not bad. The problem is bam, you can see how shallow the penetration is on that. Very hard. Boom. Now, I am getting a bit more pressure than I'd like around here. I've got the edges broken, but the problem is when you're holding back here and you're flailing away at it, there is a lot of movement of the knife. And when it hits the wood, that force, again, because you don't have much of a grip here in terms of control, makes it move around a lot. So I think I'm going to round this out a bit more. Again, not. Boom. Okay, relatively clear section. So you can see when it's not polluted with knots. Okay, so I fully rounded this off here, broke the edges here a bit more, rounded the spine while I was at it, and reduced the sharpness of this again. So now it should be much more functional. Again, watch the nails. So, and of course, the comfort helps you get nice clean lines too. I mean, when you're getting distracted because parts of the handle are biting into your hand, it's not as easy to make nice clean cuts. So, big difference here now. One last piece. Yeah, no concerns now. I can use this with a rare grip, even on some difficult wood. Yeah, okay, let's cut through this body right here. Actually, let's go through this side. Here we go. Middle out. There we go. Again, clean piece. See the dramatic difference that knots can make. And I think Buck has done a really nice job here with the edge thickness and edge angle. It's very durable for woodwork. You can see it's even taking up to the knots without any visible damage, any rippling. Now, the edge is again chipping along its entire length. There's a piece just cracked off of the edge right here, and the edge is impacted in most of the chopping region, but again, that's just because of the way it was initially sharpened from Buck. I'm assuming after I work with this a bit more, I'll grind the edge back, bring it up to say a 4000 Waterstone polish a few times, and then see how the edge holds up. If the edge keeps chipping, denting, and getting impacted like this, okay, there's a problem with the steel. But initially, it just could be the fact that it was overheated and very roughly shaped by Buck. But now it's in decent enough shape that I can do a decent comparison between this and this, which is what I was trying to do the last time, but it was cut short because of the handle issues with the Hoodlum. But now I'm going to have a look at the versatility and overall efficiency, chopping ability, cutting ability of the recurve shape on the Spartan. Get out. Versus the much more straightforward pattern on the Hoodlum. Relatively easy to go through.